got a slip in your palm and a hole in your chest. Black coffee on the felt, man, you look like a mess. 3-team parlay turned to dust in your hand. Now you stare at the chips like they made you this man. But don't you go quiet, don't you fade from the floor. Your name still means something to somebody for sure. Put the glass down, baby. Look at me now. Hold on, hold on. Not tonight, not now. Hold on, hold on. Let me pull you out. That bell bites hard, but it don't get the crown.
What's up, everybody? It's Toad back with you. Toadstool Sports, Sunday, May 17th. I hear a lot of noise outside, as usual. I don't know what's going on. Don't listen to me about horses, ever. Napoleon Solo won the Preakness. I do not know what to say about that. I mean, the horse had decent odds. I just didn't know much about the horse. The horse was not really one on my radar. What can you do? If you threw him in the exotics, at least that might have helped you. It kept you alive. I don't know. Don't listen to me about horses. We went 3-0 on this show yesterday with Milwaukee, Minnesota, first 5 under. The game was tied 1-1 at the end of 5. I think it was a 2-1 final, so that was easy. The under full game cashed as well if you actually went that way, even though Minnesota's bullpen disgusts me. But that still happened. We got the under with the Red Sox-Braves game as well. Red Sox scored 2 runs late to overcome a 2-1 deficit and win 3-2. So that worked out well for me as a Red Sox fan and still getting the under right. So that was good. And then Buffalo Sabres with the win in that hockey game as well. They outplayed Montreal in that game, man. I mean, it wasn't what it looked like on the final score. I mean, there was some chaos at the end of that game. It was multiple empty net goals, whatever. It was a 2-goal game pretty late in the game. Buffalo was the better team in the game, though. One thing that I pointed out in my Instagram video when I was giving out the information on that game that I forgot to mention on this show was that not only was Montreal not that good at home during the playoffs so far, but Buffalo went into that game 4-1 on the road in the playoffs this season. So Buffalo, postseason, I should say. Buffalo's been a really good road team in the playoffs, so that is something to keep in mind, although most of those wins were against the Bruins, but the Bruins were a very good home team this year, so that is something. All right, we'll move on to today. I'm going to have 2 baseball plays today. That's all I got. I considered the NBA game pretty strongly. There's a couple things I don't love about it. I don't know, maybe I'm being too selective about it. And then there's no hockey tonight, and there is WNBA, but I don't know. I don't have a good feel for the WNBA board that we have here, so I don't know. I'm being pretty selective with the WNBA, but we're 3-0. Really, we should be 4-0. I'm still pissed about not adding Golden State that second day of the season or whatever it was, but whatever. All right. Dirty Sock, what's up? Tyson, what's up? Kyle, what's up? Yes, thank you, sir. We had, the 3-0 sweep yesterday. Nice. Tip extra on Patreon. You gifted, where'd you gift the sub? Thank you, sir. You mean on Patreon, you mean? Can you do that? Or what was it? Or on Twitter? I mean, I don't know what we're talking about here. Yeah, I don't know how to set up like tips or whatever. You can send me tips on Twitter though. I know that. There's a link there for that, but it's like Venmo and whatever, Cash App. I'm on both of those. Yes, sir. I'm going to try to do my best to give out good plays here. Speaking of which, the current run, there you go, 81, 37, and 5 now over the last 43 days. Over the last almost 2 weeks now, I think we've only had 2 losing days. Or actually, no, maybe 1, but 2 days where I think we're I'd have to look it up. I have to figure it out, but I think I'm like 18-3 now or something over the last 10 or so days. I don't know. I have to figure it out. It's going to take me a while to go back. I don't want to give out incorrect numbers. The number on the screen is correct, though. But, yeah, something like that. I think we had only 2 days during that span where we had any losers at all, and only one of those days was a losing day. It was that 2-2 day the other day, and it was a small loss. So, all right, let's get into it. I don't want this intro to be that long. Oh, well, thank you. My Patreon is just all uke stuff right now, though, and I don't keep it up to date and whatever. I'll have more uke requests coming in. I have a request from one of the subscribers there that I'm going to do, and it's going to fulfill a request that came from somebody else as well. So I'm gonna knock out 2 birds with 1 stone with a queen cover, and it's probably there are only like 2 queen covers that I probably even have the ability to do, and this is like one of them, and it's still going to suck. I mean, you can't cover Queen, man. Queen, excellent band. Freddie Mercury, I know he was, Indian, whatever, but I think he's the best vocalist of all time. I know some of it was because he had extra teeth in his mouth, so his mouth was bigger. I'm not saying anything about that, but, that was actually true. That, helped his vocal range. All right. Anyway, Miami at Tampa Bay is the first baseball game here. The Battle of Florida finishes as we wrap up rivalry weekend. Peacock has this game. It's the earliest game. It's at 12:15 Eastern. These teams have split the series so far, so when I see that, I usually think both teams are going to try to show up and win the series. Tampa Bay used 4 relief pitchers yesterday. Miami has had a really good bullpen this year. They also used 4, though. And, you do want to look like who won the game yesterday. Did Miami use, their high-leverage relief arms? I don't know if they did. They won the game by 5 yesterday, but whatever. Miami's been a really good bullpen. They're currently ranked 2nd when I ordered this by Whip. And Tampa Bay had been rising, but their ERA is still pretty questionable out of the bullpen. They're ranked 13th in Whip, but their ERA is in the mid-4s, which is not excellent. Miami's got the better bullpen. Tampa's been the better offensive team. They're 11th, Miami 18th. Yuri Perez pitching for Miami. This is a starting pitching matchup where I kind of like both pitchers. Perez has struggled a little bit this year, though. 4.94 ERA, 1.37 whip. He's still super young, although he's already had multiple Tommy John surgeries. I think he's good. He's got good stuff, but he's pretty wild, and he's kind of all over the place, and he's been bad on the road. 6.52 road ERA, so that's not good. He's been, again, kind of a roller coaster this month. Miami's lost 4 starts in a row of his, but some of that really kind of wasn't his fault. He's allowed more than 4 earned runs only one of those times. This month, he's got a high strikeout rate, 20 strikeouts, but 10 walks in 16 innings. Way too many walks. Multiple in every outing, and only 11 hits allowed. I mean, this is kind of the story with him. That's the same if you expand this over the course of the season. He has way over 1 strikeout per inning, so that's a high strikeout rate. His walk rate is really high, and he doesn't allow a lot of hits. So that's his thing. His control is kind of a problem. Tampa Bay does not have a lot of experience against him, but Fraley and Mullins are combined 2 for 4 off him with a Fraley home run and walk. Do with that information what you want, but it does mean that Perez is unfamiliar to most of Tampa Bay's lineup. And when that is the case, hitters unfamiliar with the pitcher a lot of times will struggle. And Perez does have kind of a weird, jerky motion on the mound, and he's 6'8", so his motion is kind of hard to pick up when you haven't seen him before, so I do know that. Drew Rasmussen is pitching for Tampa Bay. He's been their best pitcher. I mean, he's pretty solid. He's very consistent. 3.16 ERA, 0.91 whip. He's been really good at home, 2 ERA at home. So maybe the consistency is not, I don't know. I'm still going to say he is really consistent, though. I mean, he had 1 really kind of bad start at Pittsburgh. Other than that, he's allowed 3 or fewer earned runs in all of his starts. This month, he had 2 good starts against Toronto that were almost exact to each other, where he allowed 3 earned runs in 6 innings in each of them, 11-2 strikeout walk ratio over that span. His numbers are good over the course of the season, dude. He's got more than one strikeout per inning, very, very low walk rate, and low hit rate as well. Against Miami, his numbers are, I would say they're still good, but the batting average allowed is high, and 31 at bats, 290 average, but a low 667 OPS, 5 strikeouts, 1 walk. I mean, it's not a huge sample, but it's a decent-sized sample. Most of the hits he's allowed are singles. So he's allowed some contact, but not really any power hitting to Miami here. It's a tough game to gauge, man, but Rasmussen is more consistent. Perez does struggle on the road a bit. The money does not agree with Tampa Bay, but I think I kind of lean Tampa here. They're sitting around a minus 150-something favorite, basically 91% of the tickets, 81% of the cash on them. Money coming in towards the over slightly as well. Not sure I agree with that. The total's at 7. I mean, you have two kind of capable bullpens here. Two starting pitchers that could potentially pitch well. So I don't think I'd want an over here. The odds makers are telling you this should be a lower scoring game, but I probably prefer Rasmussen here. Miami does have a bullpen advantage, so a first 5 inning play on Tampa makes some sense to me as well. If you want to lay a half run in the first 5 innings, you could do that. Or full game, I think you'd have to make your own -1 run line, as I do. And I am going to be doing that with one of my plays today. It's not all totals for me today. One of them is, but the other one is a side. So there you go. That is not my play. Mr. Penzi, what's up? Thanks for hanging out. All right. Next game, Baltimore-Washington. This game, this series, I should say, Washington won 13-3 yesterday, and they're on the verge of a sweep here. This Baltimore team might not be that good, man. If you're going to get swept by Washington, I don't think Washington's that good. Not a good sign. Baltimore is playing a divisional series against Tampa next, so that's a pretty big series, but I don't think Baltimore's going to overlook a team that's about to sweep them. You know, usually I look to play on the team that's trying to avoid the sweep because you get extra motivation usually. The team that's on the verge of the sweep a lot of times will overlook that opponent. Washington plays the Mets next. I mean, it is a divisional series, and the Mets have been pretty bad, so I don't know if that's really a look ahead or not. But situation, I think, does favor Baltimore slightly here. As far as, bullpen usage, Washington used 3 relievers yesterday. Their bullpen is pretty bad. Baltimore used 4. Baltimore is the better bullpen, though, even though neither bullpen is good. Washington is ranked 24th. This is by WHIP, as I said. Baltimore's 18th, and offense arranged by OPS. Washington is 6th, so they are the better hitting team. Baltimore is 21st. Brandon Young getting the start for Baltimore. He's a guy, I think he has some talent, but his career hasn't really taken off. His numbers this year are mediocre. 4.15 ERA, 1.38 WHIP is definitely too high. Indicative that his ERA should be higher than it is. He's been pretty good on the road, though, 2.45 ERA. It's in a very small sample size, though. But he looks like he is somewhat starting to pitch a little bit better. He actually hasn't allowed more than 4 earned runs in any outing. He got smacked around in that outing against Houston, but he's actually not allowed that many hits in his last 2 outings, which are at Miami and at home against the Yankees. His walks were an issue in those games, though. He walked 3 guys in each of them. But he only allowed 7 hits in 11 1/3 innings. 6 walks was a problem, though. 10 strikeouts, fine. So he looks like he is pitching a little bit better, though, except for the walks. I still don't really trust his overall numbers. His strikeout rate's still pretty low. A lot of walks. Hit rate isn't too bad, fewer than 1 per inning. And he has not been seen before by Washington, so that is an extra advantage. So the couple of things he does have going for him, he looks like he's kind of in better form right now, but I'd like to see better control numbers, and he's unfamiliar to Washington, so he might have an advantage there because they haven't faced him before. He's also getting to pitch against Miles Mikolas, who's been one of the worst pitchers in baseball this year. He's got pretty bad numbers. 7 ERA, 1.53 WHIP. He's been even worse at home. 8.1 ERA. As I point out, Washington, their pitching has been awful at home for the most part. They've given up the most runs out of any team at home. I think that still might be the case. If it's not, they're close to the top still. Mikolas is not going deep into his outings. He's only made it 5 innings twice all season. That's not good. This month, not really any better. 5-2 strikeout walk ratio, whatever. His strikeout rate is low. He doesn't strike a lot of guys out. He does induce a lot of ground balls, which is good, but he's allowed too many hits, way over 1 per inning. The number of walks isn't really great either. Not a whole lot to like with him here, but he has good numbers against Baltimore in 38 career at-bats, 184 batting average allowed, 507 OPS, 11-3 strikeout walk ratio. So Baltimore is one of the better matchups for him. It looks like the money is indicating on Washington. I still don't think I would want to back Mikolas, though. I mean, I don't even know what circumstance I'd want to back that guy. Like, if I don't even want him here. But, you know, if the situation was better for Washington, maybe. But I think they don't have the situational advantage here. I don't like Mikolas at home either. We got Baltimore as like a minus 120-something favorite here. 61% of the tickets, 59% of the cash on Baltimore. So I don't know why the public... Is the public really playing Baltimore here when they've lost both games in the series? I'm not so sure about that. And probably even more absurd is that money looks like it's coming in on the under. I would not do that. The total is at 10. I mean, the only thing I will say is that you might have some argument for a first 5 under because Young does have the unfamiliarity advantage here, and Mikolas somehow has good matchup numbers here. That's the best I could say. I would not go full game if you go under here, though. I mean, you don't want anything to do with these bullpens. So, and I'm not even recommending a first 5 under. I'm not recommending you do anything with that game. But my first instinct was to slightly lean towards Baltimore. But then again, they're laying a favorite price. But then again, if they're laying a favorite price, it almost looks too easy to take Washington, right? Like Baltimore 20-26. Why are they a favorite on the road, right? Odds makers are telling you they're still better than Washington. So it does look like a very misleading price, which, you know, the odds makers are kind of indicating something to you with that. It's almost, to me, that's them telling you that Baltimore is kind of the right side there. So, yeah, do what you want with that. Saab, what's up, man? Yeah, I know. I need to be more exciting and lose some games here. Maybe we'll lose today. No, the henchmen are not going to rough me up because you use the legit sports books, even the ones that are in other countries or whatever online. You have to pay for your bet up front, so they don't have anything to come after you for. Like, you've already given them the money. I mean, they have to give you back the money as well. And if they don't, you could sue them. Poland, I don't know if I'm going to Poland anytime soon. Boston at Atlanta. We played the under in each of the first 2 games in the series. Easy winners on both of them. I am not going to give you the under in this game today, though. I don't think the pitching matchup is good enough, whatever. But these 2 teams have been trending under recently, as I pointed out. I think now after yesterday, Atlanta has had 8 of their last 10 games go under the total, which is 8.5 here. The Red Sox have had all of their last 7 or 8 games go 5 or fewer runs. I think the Red Sox have not been able to hit, which is part of the reason why, but their pitching has been pretty good. Red Sox used 1 relief pitcher yesterday, Chapman, but he's pitched 2 days in a row, so he's not going to be available today. So if they're going to win, they're going to need to not have a save situation. Atlanta didn't use anybody out of the bullpen. I don't think that's correct. I know Bryce Elder went really deep into the game, but I think Atlanta used 1 guy after him, but maybe I'm wrong about that. I don't know, but Atlanta's bullpen is really good. They're number 1 in bullpen right now. Red Sox also pretty good, though, at 5th. And both bullpens are pretty rested, other than that the Red Sox don't have their closer available. Atlanta, number 2 in offense. They have a huge offensive edge. Boston, 27th. Obviously not good. The Red Sox have Brian Bayo listed as a starter here, and he's still listed as a starter on the board here. I don't think they should do that, man. You look at Bayo, his overall numbers are awful. 6.46 ERA, 1.74 whip. He's been bad on the road as well, 7.11 road ERA. So, I mean, this is a guy you don't want to back. But the thing is, it looks like he's in way better form right now. His last 2 starts, or his last 2 appearances, they were not starts. And that's what I'm about to say. He had a starter's workload. He went 6 1/3 innings, and 7 innings against Philadelphia and Detroit, held each of them to 1 run, had 12 strikeouts and 2 walks over that span. So he pitched really well in those 2 games. The caveat is they put an opener in front of him in both games. So it's like when he does, I've talked about this on my show, when he doesn't start the game, it's like he's in a different headspace and he pitches way better. So if I were the Red Sox, I'd do that again. I'd put an opener in front of him again. And right now, according to the board, they're not doing that. It's almost like they're like, oh, he's fixed now. Let's let him be a starter again, even though he's been atrocious as a starter and he's been a completely different pitcher as an opener. So this is a game where I would not go action on this. I would wait to see what the Red Sox are actually doing. And I think the Red Sox have a better chance to win this game if Bayo has an opener in front of him. I still don't want to back Bayo, though. His numbers against Atlanta are bad. 58 at-bats, 11-4 strikeout-walk ratio, 310 batting average allowed, 820 OPS. So I don't know. Even if they do put an opener in front of him, I don't really trust him in this game. Grant Holmes is pitching for Atlanta. He's been very mediocre, 4.35 ERA, 1.31 whip. He's been bad at home, even though it was the opposite last year. 5.21 home ERA this year. Holmes, not good at home this year for some reason. He hasn't really been good. Bayo has been in the way better form than Holmes over the last month. Holmes has had 2 pretty ugly starts this month, but one was at Coors Field and one was against the Cubs, who have a good offense, so maybe you give him a pass for that, but he had a 9-7 strikeout walk ratio, which is not good. His numbers overall this year are actually not very good, other than the fact that he hasn't allowed that many hits, well below 1 per inning, but he's got a pretty low strikeout rate, and his walk rate is way too high, so that's not good. And his numbers against the Red Sox, though, they are actually good. In 29 at-bats, 138 batting average allowed, 495 OPS, 10-3 strikeout walk ratio. So Holmes does have the better matchup here based on the matchup numbers. The money is indicating towards Boston, though. 80% of tickets, 70% of the cash on Atlanta. Part of it probably because of the price. They're at minus 160 or whatever. The big edge Atlanta has is obviously the offense, but that's going to depend on whether or not the Red Sox pitching can hold Atlanta's offense down again here. I probably lean to Atlanta here. I just can't trust Bayo, man, even if they put an opener in front of him. I know he's been in the better form, but Holmes had a couple of difficult matchups. I know Holmes isn't as good at home this year, but the matchup numbers, I think, sway me in that direction a little bit, but I can't make it a play or anything like that. It would have to be like a run line, a partial run line, partial money line on Atlanta. But then again, these games have all been so close and low scoring that it's really difficult to want to lay a big price like that. Not even that big, but lay, a decent-sized price on a favorite in this series at all. Next 2 games will be both of my plays here. The first one, it looks like it's probably too obvious, but you probably know where I'm going with this. The poop series, Philadelphia-Pittsburgh, because if you remember, the score overlay for that had the P for one of the 2 teams, a 0-0 score in the middle, and then the P for the other team, so it said poop on the score overlay, if you guys remember that. There was a kid in the crowd during this series that had the poop overlay on a sign. Oh, man. It's become a phenomenon. But yes, this is the best bet segment. This Pittsburgh-Philly game, we're going to go under first 5 innings, under the 3.5. I know it's somewhat of a low number, but I kind of expected it to be 3. It almost looks too easy because you're basically looking at an ace pitching matchup here. So, looks too obvious. I'm not going to go full game because I don't love the bullpen setup here. Philadelphia didn't use anybody out of their bullpen yesterday, though, so their bullpen is readily available. Pittsburgh used a lot. They used 5 relief pitchers, so Philadelphia is going to have a bullpen edge in this game. Their bullpen's been decent at 15th. Pirates, not so much at 21st. Their ERA is above 4 now, so Pittsburgh's bullpen could ruin this whole thing, which is why I'm going to take the bullpens out of the equation here. And Phillies isn't really excellent either, though. Pittsburgh has had the better offense. They're at 9th, but I think that our pitching here, at least in the first 5, can hold them down. And then Philadelphia hasn't hit that well. They're at 19th, so they are hitting a little bit better. But Look at the starting pitching matchup here, man. I mean, I just see no other way to approach this game. Zach Wheeler is pitching for Philadelphia. He seems like he's kind of flying under the radar. I don't know. I haven't heard people really talking about how he's back, and he's obviously helping Philadelphia quite a bit now that he's back in the rotation, because he's been their ace for years at this point, and he's pitching like it again. He's got a 2.55 ERA, 0.93 whip. He's been excellent on the road, 1.96 road ERA. Philadelphia's won all 4 of his outings. He's allowed 3 or fewer earned runs in all of them. He's got a 22-6 strikeout walk ratio and 17 hits allowed in 24 2/3 innings. This looks pretty Wheeler-esque to me. It looks like his numbers are right where they should be. His walk number went down after he walked too many guys in his first outing, which was against Atlanta, so he faced a good offense there. He faced the A's, who are a pretty good offense. So he could deal with these offenses, and Pittsburgh's hitting, they have not been good against him. They have a lot of at-bats against him, 120, especially because Ozuna was in his division, but Ozuna has been really bad against him. Ozuna has 25 strikeouts in 64 at-bats against him and a 188 batting average, although he has homered off him twice. But overall, 120 at-bats for Pittsburgh's hitters against him, 49 strikeouts, 9 walks, 175 average, 541 OPS. Wheeler, pretty dominant numbers here against these guys, including against Ozuna, obviously. He will be going up against Paul Skenes, the other side of this match. I mean, what else? Do we have anything to really say about Skenes? He's the favorite to win the NL Cy Young right now, 1.98 ERA, 0.64 whip. Ridiculously low whip. I mean, it's like unsustainable. Like, that is insane. He's like not even allowing base runners. He's at a point where he's allowing a guy to reach base in earned fashion once every 2 innings. He's been really good at home, 1.53 home ERA. A lot better than his 67.5 March ERA. After that one really bad outing, he's been lights out since then. He's allowed 1 or fewer earned run in every outing except one outing against St. Louis, which was at home, but he kind of got unlucky in the game, allowing 2 home runs, and he still had 9 strikeouts, no walks. He's not allowed a run this month in 16 innings. He's only allowed 4 hits. 1 hit every 4 innings this month. 17 strikeouts, no walks. I mean, this is ridiculous. Over the course of the season, he's allowed 1 hit every 2 innings, literally, which is ridiculous, and very few walks, and has a high strikeout rate as well. What else? I mean, do we have to say anything else? And also, Philadelphia has 1 extra base hit off him. Marchand, is that his Brad Marchand? What? Rafael Marchand, I don't even know who that is has a double off him, but overall they have 37 at-bats, 11 strikeouts, 1 walk, an 0.81 average against him, and 213 OPS. Yeah, I mean, I think there are going to be few runs scored here. The full game total on this is 7. If you are interested in that, I'd still agree with the full game under, but Pittsburgh's bullpen worries me. So we're going to take the 3.5 under in the first 5 innings instead. The money looks like it's not even agreeing. 95% of the tickets, 94% of the cash. Is this like a really public under? I don't know, but this looks like an under to me, man. You got 2 ace pitchers with really good matchup numbers. They're both in really good form. What am I supposed to do? I don't know. Let's do it. Seems too obvious, but sometimes when it's too obvious, it still works out when it's an under like this. So that's what we're going to do. The money is also fading Pittsburgh here, by the way, for what that's worth. They're at minus 130 something or so. Skenes is usually going to be a heavier favorite than that. But the money, 75% of tickets, 64% of the cash on Pittsburgh. Seems like the money is coming in towards Philadelphia. I see where that is the thinking, because if Wheeler can keep Philadelphia in the game, I think Philadelphia does have a bullpen edge in this game. So if it's close once the starters are out of the game, yeah, Philadelphia may have a chance to win this game. So those are my thoughts on that. Pittsburgh, though, they're trying to avoid a sweep here. Philadelphia's on the verge of sweeping Pittsburgh and won the game 6-0 yesterday. So that probably is going to motivate Pittsburgh a little bit here to try to avoid the sweep. So there is that. Philadelphia does not have a look ahead, really, though. They play the Reds next. That's not really a big issue there. So those are my thoughts there. They changed the the poop overlay. The poop has been flushed. Next game is also going to be a play for me. So yeah, we'll just continue with the best bet segment. We're going to do a split bet on the Cleveland Indians, -1.5 run line. I saw it at +140 at the gym book that starts with a B, but that book is kind of hard to access. But I think you'll find some numbers that are similar to this out there. And the other part of it on the money line at -165. And in fact, it's interesting because the numbers that I used here came out to an exactly -110 on the -1. So that's exactly what you want. It's like playing a straight like spread play. You know what I mean? Right at the -110. If it's out of 100, you're putting almost 69 of it, 69 on the money line part of it, the -165. And then whatever that returns, you put that amount of it on the money line or on the run line part of it, excuse me, if that makes sense, the plus money part of it. But I like Cleveland in this game against the Reds, man, in the Battle of Ohio. Cleveland won yesterday to even up the series at 1-1. You know, I've been talking about how I think the Reds are overrated. The Reds used 4 relief pitchers yesterday. They have a pretty ugly bullpen. The guys in it are all bad looking. Cleveland has a better bullpen. They did use 4 relief pitchers yesterday as well, including Gaddis, who I believe they're using as a closer. But I like Cleveland's bullpen better than the Reds anyway. Cleveland's bullpen is currently ranked 10th here. The Reds are 29th. Even though both bullpens have ERAs in the 4s, Cincinnati's is still close to a run higher, but their whip is also way worse. So that's what we got going on there. The Reds haven't really been that good offensively either. They moved back up to 17th, though, after they did plummet. They have moved back up a little bit. I'll say they're a little bit better than Cleveland, who's at 22nd. Cleveland's not very offensively prolific, but I think we have a lot going for us with Cleveland here. Brady Singer is pitching for the Reds. There are a lot of numbers here that line up for me on fading Brady Singer here. I mean, his numbers overall are not good. 5.79 ERA, 1.67 whip. He's been worse on the road, even though he pitches in a hitter-friendly ballpark in Cincinnati. He's worse on the road, 7.04 road ERA. So that's bad. So we do want to fade him on the road typically. The Reds have lost 3 games in a row that he started. Every game this month. He's failed to even go 4 innings in 2 out of the 3. Granted, he did face Pittsburgh and the Cubs and did okay against the Cubs. And then Washington. Those are pretty good offenses. Better than Cleveland. Okay, fine. But still, I mean, his numbers do not look good this month. He's allowed well over 1 hit per inning. His strikeout rate is pretty low. 4 walks would be fine if he had better numbers surrounding it, but he does not. Overall, I mean, that's been the case this whole season. He's allowed way over 1 hit per inning. He's been way too hittable. He's allowed 11 home runs, which is really ugly. Strikeout rate is low, well below 1 strikeout per inning, and the walk rate is normal. It's fine. So he at least doesn't walk too many. But the thing about Cleveland is they're very familiar with Brady Singer because he was on Kansas City up until last year. So Cleveland has seen him a lot, and Cleveland has really good numbers against him. In 91 career at-bats, 15 strikeouts, 10 walks. Jose Ramirez totally lights him up, 12 for 29 with 3 home runs. Manzardo is 5 for 7 off him. Kwan, 9 for 25. I mean, these guys have knocked him around. They have 15 strikeouts, 10 walks, 363 batting average, and 953 OPS against him. So Singer has really struggled against Cleveland, and Cleveland is pretty familiar with him. And he's going to have to go up against Gavin Williams, who has been pitching well this season, even though his numbers are a little bit weird in the way that they're skewed, but his overall numbers are good. 3.74 ERA, 1.17 whip. He's been good at home, so the home road splits both line up for this play on Cleveland. 2.39 home ERA for Williams. The only thing that I'm kind of questioning is why did Williams' start get pushed back? He last started last Sunday. He was supposed to start, I think, Friday, and I don't know what happened, but he got pushed back to this game. Now, you might... That is concerning because you want pitchers to stay on schedule, but he's still only like 1 day removed basically from regular rest, so I'm not that worried about it. He's been in the league for multiple years, so I don't think that's really going to hurt him that much. But you might also look at what he did recently this month and be like, well, that's not good. He allowed 5 earned runs in both outings this month, and he allowed 18 hits in 12 innings. While I agree that's not good, His command numbers were good, though. He had 13 strikeouts and 3 walks. So that tells me that he might have gotten a little bit unlucky. I mean, I guess he was putting pitches too far over the plate, which is kind of weird because if you look at his overall numbers this year, he has a good strikeout rate, way over 1 per inning. His walk rate is high, so he's actually been walking too many people typically, and he's been hard to hit, well below 1 hit per inning, which is different than what we saw out of him this month. But I still think he's overall pretty good. He had a really good month of April. I don't actually think he's in bad form right now just because his command numbers look good to me. So he's still fooling hitters and he's walking fewer people than he was before. And the Reds have basically never seen him. Only Blade and Nathaniel Lowe have seen him before. They're 0 for 5 against him, although they do have 4 walks against him and 2 strikeouts. Again, the walks. But I think Williams has a pretty big edge here, man, in my opinion. Plus, Cincinnati, the rest of their lineup being unfamiliar with him should give him a little bit of an extra advantage there. I like Cleveland. That's what we're going to go with here. A split bet, or there are books that offer a -1 run line too, but they might not give you a better price than what you can get if you split the bet across 2 books. The money's not agreeing with me on this. What else is new? 81% of tickets, 72% of the cash on Cleveland. So, I don't know. We're looking at Wager Talk's screen here because pregame is dead. They're never going to fix it. -160 or so is the price here. I said -165, whatever. And then the money's coming in on the over slightly in this game as well, which I don't have a good feel for the over, but or for the total, I mean. But I like the side there. I like how it lines up for the starting pitching. And then I think Cleveland has the better bullpen on top of it. So that's what we're going to go with there. That's my only other play of the day, man. So we'll try to run through the rest of these games here. New York, Yankees, Mets. The Mets have been just atrocious fielding in this game. They made some ridiculous fielding mistakes in this game, in this series, I mean. And they still somehow won the game yesterday, even though they look like a bunch of, I don't know, bumbling idiots out there. I don't know how the Mets won the game yesterday, but they did. So this series is even 1-1. The Mets have won 4 out of their last 5 games here, so at least there is that. But that includes a sweep of Detroit, who are struggling here. Once we look at this game, though, the pitching matchup isn't bad for the Mets here, though. Bullpen-wise, the Yankees used a lot of relief pitchers yesterday. They did use 5. The Mets used 4. I think it actually went into extra innings. Oh, no, what am I thinking? It did not. No, only Toronto, Detroit, and Miami, Tampa Bay did. I don't know what I was thinking with that. Anyway, what am I looking at here? Yeah, so bullpens, both bullpens have been decent this year. The Mets slightly better at 9th, the Yankees 11th. I mean, they're both decent bullpens. I don't think there's a huge edge there. Yankees have a huge hitting edge, obviously. They're 3rd, and the Mets are dead last still at 30th. Starting pitching, though, Elmer Rodriguez is getting his 3rd career start with the Yankees, and he's struggled a bit. 5.19 ERA, 2.08 whip. Yeah, I mean, I know it's a small sample size. He was a little bit better in his road start, 4.5 road ERA, which I believe we actually had an under in that game that won. It was this 3-0 game at Texas where most games go under. We got a little bit lucky on the Rodriguez side of things there, but we handicapped Nathan Eovaldi, I think, very correctly in that game. But, yeah, Elmer Rodriguez here, he's only faced Texas so far, so maybe you have to give him a little bit of a break because Texas had an advantage the second time because they had just seen him already. And, you know, a lot of these young pitchers, the advantage they have is that they haven't been seen before by the opposing offense, which will be an advantage he has today. That was not an advantage that he had in his second game because Texas had already seen him once. But what worries me is that Texas is not a good offense, and he really kind of struggled in both games. He had 8 walks in 8 2/3 innings. You can't do that. You can't walk one guy every inning. And he only had 5 strikeouts, 10 hits allowed. Yeah, I mean, he is a bit of a concern, even though I know he gets a weak offense here in the Mets. He didn't look that good against another pretty weak offense in Texas, so I don't know if I love that, even though he's unfamiliar to the Mets here. The Mets have a much more established pitcher going, Freddie Peralta, and he's pitching pretty well, 3.1 ERA, 1.22 whip. He's been a little bit worse at home, 3.51 ERA. I mean, he's new to the Mets system this year, but that's not even that bad of a number. And overall, his numbers are good. He's allowed 3 or fewer earned runs in every outing since his first outing of the season. He's got more than 1 strikeout per inning, fewer than 1 hit per inning by quite a bit. So he's doing what he usually does. He's pretty difficult to hit, and he's a little bit wild. His walk number's a little bit high, but his strikeout rate is also high. This month, he's continuing to pitch the way that he usually does, including a start at Coors Field where he didn't allow any runs. Yeah, he's pitching pretty well. Numbers against the Yankees are not terrific, though. In 89 at-bats, 32 strikeouts, 11 walks. That's pretty normal for him. 258 batting average, fine. 891 OPS is concerning, though. He's allowed 6 home runs to them. A lot of extra base hits in here, a lot of doubles as well. I still think I might prefer the Mets here, though. I'd probably prefer the better and more established pitcher here, which is Peralta. The money's indicating on the Yankees, though. The Yankees are actually an underdog here. And, when are you going to get the Yankees as an underdog? So I can kind of see the argument that, the Yankees are still the better team, so getting them as an underdog is ridiculous. 53% of tickets, 73% of the cash on the Yankees. But then on the other hand, it almost looks too easy. How am I getting the Yankees as an underdog here? You know what I mean? Peralta is definitely the better pitcher here. You know what I mean? He's got an established career. E-Rod, if you want to call him that, the second E-Rod, the new E-Rod, he's still questionable. We don't know what he's going to give you. Money is also coming in on the under in this game, which is interesting. I don't have a good feel for that, really. I lean slightly to the Mets, but then again, you could make the argument the Yankees are kind of in a bounce-back spot as, the better team after a loss yesterday, if you want to make that argument. All right. Wager talk, DDoS pregame. Not likely, because Wager Talk is destroying those guys anyway. They don't even need to do that. Wager Talk just has way, way better content. It's not even close. The better content creators are all over there, which is why I follow their stuff. All right. Toronto at Detroit, which won't even load right now. What's going on here? There we go. These teams have split the series as well, and I was wrong about both games, and both games were a 1-run win for each team here, so it's been a close, low-scoring series for whatever that's worth. Detroit used 4 relief pitchers yesterday. Toronto used even more than that. They used 5. I don't like either bullpen here, really, though. Toronto is mediocre at 14th, and Detroit, they've struggled out of the bullpen at 20th, although their ERA is actually better because we're arranging this by whip. Their ERA is below 4, which isn't that bad, and it's better than Toronto's, which is above 4 slightly. Hitting-wise, Detroit's been the better hitting team over the course of the season, but they've dropped a little bit recently. Their offense has not been good recently. They're at 13th on the season. Toronto's still 25th, though, so they've struggled over the course of the season. Starting pitching, you look at the starting pitchers here. This looks like a massive edge towards Toronto. Kevin Gausman is pitching for them. He's been good. 3.86 ERA, 1.09 whip. You start digging into it a little more, though. He's not quite as good on the road. 4.37 road ERA. We know Detroit has been good at home. Gausman didn't pitch well in his last outing. He got lit up by Tampa Bay. They got a lot of hits off him. Scored 6 earned runs in 4 2/3 against him. But you might give him a pass for that because he had faced Tampa the start before that. So maybe because they just saw him, they figured something out and hit him way better the next time. And I think generally, actually, he does not have good numbers against Tampa Bay. If you remember me handicapping those games, I think he actually struggles historically against Tampa. But he still wound up with an 8-1 strikeout walk ratio out of those 2 outings. I'm going to give him a pass for it. I think he should probably bounce back. But when we start looking at the numbers here, the numbers are going to actually line up. Well, you'll see. I'm going to show you. Gausman, he's got very few walks. He has one of the lowest walk rates in Major League Baseball. He's got fewer than 1 hit allowed per inning as well. And his strikeout rate is close to 9 strikeouts per 9, which is good. His numbers against Detroit are also really good in 67 at-bats, 164 batting average allowed, 437 OPS, 26-7 strikeout walk ratio. I think Gausman lines up to pitch well here. He's going up against Jack Flaherty, and on the surface, it's like, yeah, Gausman is obviously the way better of these two pitchers. Flaherty has been bad this year. 5.73 ERA, 1.73 whip. Doesn't have a win. I mean, really, really bad stuff. His home road splits are pretty insignificant, though. But this is going to get interesting in a second because everything looks really bad with Flaherty. Detroit's lost his last 5 starts in a row. He's only made it 5 innings once over that entire span. His strikeout rate still remains pretty high, though. But his walk rate has been pretty high. He's been pretty hittable as well. And that's kind of been the way it's been all season. He's got way over 1 strikeout per inning, so he is fooling hitters to some extent. But he has a ton of walks, ridiculous amount of walks, and he's allowed basically one fewer hit than innings pitched, which is not that bad. So overall, yeah, his numbers are pretty bad, though, and most of the problem is the wildness. But then you look at his numbers against Toronto, they're actually really good. In a big sample, 94 at-bats, 29 strikeouts, 6 walks, 138 average allowed, 445 OPS. I still don't want to trust Flaherty here. Like, this still does look like a Toronto game to me, like in the way that I would probably lean here. Like, I would trust Gausman more than I would trust Flaherty, obviously. But the money is coming in the other direction. 65% of tickets on Toronto, 77% of the cash on Detroit. The money's also coming in on the over. 60% of tickets on the under, 68% of the cash on the over. Total is pretty low, though, at 7.5, which is indicating that the odds makers kind of think this is going to be somewhat of a pitching duel. And I actually kind of agree with that, but the way that I would do it goes kind of against the market, but I would limit it to first 5 innings. I would actually play under first 5 innings if I was going to play this game. I don't want to do it. I mean, I still really have trouble backing Flaherty here, but the matchup numbers do look good for both starting pitchers there. I would take the bullpens out of the equation. Don't trust those bullpens in that game. First 5 under makes sense to me in that game, but you're probably getting close to 3.5 on that number, and it's like, well, we're going to do the 3.5 with Wheeler and Skenes instead, you know? But of course that one will lose, and now this one will win, whatever. The Battle of Chicago, this has been a split series as well. White Sox lost game 1 and then won game 2 yesterday. I think both teams are going to show up here because it's to win the series here for Chicago supremacy, which the Cubs have owned that for a while now. The White Sox not being good, but the White Sox are definitely improved this season. They're still not as good as the Cubs, though. Cubs used 2 relief pitchers yesterday. White Sox used 2 as well. The Cubs have the better bullpen, 7th. The White Sox have really struggled in the bullpen arena. They're at 25th in bullpen, so the Cubs have a way better bullpen. Both offenses have been good, though. Cubs ranked 4th. White Sox ranked 8th. Colin Ray is getting the start for the Cubs here. He's not exactly their best starter, and ESPN is not even loading any of this for me. I don't know what to do about that. Ray has a 4.68 ERA, 1.42 whip. Not great numbers for him here. His numbers are not good on the road either. He's way worse on the road. 6.55 road ERA. So a lot of things are lining up against Ray in this one. Hasn't really been that good this month. I mean, he's had a lot of shortened starts. Hasn't gone more than 5 1/3 innings in any of his last 4 outings. He's not allowed too many runs in some of them, but he did get hammered in a game against Atlanta and a game against the Dodgers. Those are 2 really good offenses, though, so maybe you give him a little bit of a pass for that. He does have a 12-4 strikeout walk ratio this month, which is pretty good, but he's allowed way too many hits. Over the course of the season, you know, I mean, his numbers are not horrible. He's allowed more than 1 hit per inning, though, by a bit, which is not good. The walk rate is okay, and the strikeout rate is basically what you expect from him. He doesn't strike out a ton of guys. Against the White Sox, though, he does not do particularly well. They only have 6 hitters who have faced him before. It's 22 at-bats. It's a small sample. But 364 batting average allowed, 1122 OPS, 5.3 strikeout walk ratio. Those numbers are not particularly good. He will be going up against Eric Fedde, who actually has the better numbers on the season for the White Sox. 3.77 ERA, 1.16 whip. So this looks, you start looking at this and you think maybe the White Sox could win this game here again. Fedde also isn't good at home, so the overall numbers and the home road splits both favor Fedde here. 2.66 home ERA. He's doing a lot better this year than last year, man. But you look at his numbers this month, they're not really good. He had 2 starts where he only made it 5 innings, one of the 2, against Kansas City, which was his most recent start. He did okay in that one. He didn't do well at Anaheim the game before that, but that was on the road. But overall, he's allowed way over 1 hit, or more than 1 hit per inning this month, and he only has 4 strikeouts and 3 walks, and he's allowed 5 home runs. So there are definitely some questions with Fedde here. He's allowed 10 home runs over the course of the season. That's definitely too many. His strikeout rate is low. He's an extreme fly ball pitcher. He's not really fooling guys. His walk rate is a little bit high. But the one good thing is he hasn't allowed a lot of hits. I don't know how that's the case. Like how you have way fewer than 1 hit per inning, but then you allow a lot of home runs too. It's like when he gets hit, he allows a home run. I don't know, but I don't think I can really trust Fedde here, man. And his numbers against the Cubs are not good. In 97 at-bats, 24-8 strikeout walk ratio is good enough, but 309 batting average allowed, 857 OPS. That's some pretty bad stuff. I think I would lean over in this game. I know both games in the series have gone way over already, but maybe it is a trend. I mean, sometimes when that happens, you get value in fading that and like zigzagging it. But to me, I mean, you see 2 bad both pitchers have bad matchup stats. Fedde, even though he has some numbers that are positive there, I don't trust him. The total's at 8.5 right now here, so you can get that at over 8.5 rather than over 9, which is the key number. Yeah, that's the way I would play that game. I like over in that one. The Cubs are a bit of a favorite at minus 130. They got 58% of tickets and cash on them. I might lean White Sox first 5 innings there just because Fedde does have the better home road splits there and the better numbers this season. But that's not my preference. My preference would be to go over. But if I was going to have to do something with the side, I think first 5 White Sox as a bit of an underdog makes some sense in that game. All right. Milwaukee at Minnesota. We got the first 5 under correct in that game yesterday. The full game also went way under. Minnesota's on the verge of getting swept by the Brewers, who are definitely the superior of these 2 teams. Not Lake Superior, although that is in their area of the country as well. Milwaukee might start looking ahead is my problem with this. You know what I mean? They've already won the series. Milwaukee has a big series up next against the Cubs, who are a divisional foe and one of the best teams in the National League. So they could have a look ahead here. Not pay attention to Minnesota in this game, so that definitely worries me. The situation definitely favors Minnesota here. Minnesota used 2 relief pitchers yesterday. Milwaukee used 1, just Chad Patrick in long relief. And here's where we start having, problems with backing Minnesota here is you can't back their bullpen. Their bullpen's awful. They're 28th in bullpen, and they have one of the worst bullpen ERAs as well. Brewers' bullpen has been improving as we go, and they're all the way up to 12th now, and they have one of the best bullpen ERAs. So the Brewers have a big bullpen advantage here. Minnesota is the better hitting team, still at 14th. Milwaukee is 24th. Milwaukee, the starting pitching here is pretty interesting. Milwaukee is going to be going with Robert Gasser, and I don't think he is really a gasser. I don't think he throws that high heat, but I don't know, man. I mean, Gasser is really hard to figure out. He made 5 starts in 2024, and his numbers were actually pretty good at 2.57 ERA, 1.04 whip that year. But his strikeout rate was really low, so that tells you he does not actually throw gas. Well below 1 per inning, but he also only had 1 walk. So his overall numbers looked really good because his command was all there. Last year, he was a little bit sketchier, but he only made 2 starts last year. He still had a 3.18 ERA. This is all for Milwaukee. 1.59 whip was a problem, though. But he only had 5 2/3 innings pitched last year. Did walk 4 guys, though, so his command was way worse after he only walked 1 guy in 28 innings the previous year. What are we going to get from him? I don't know. I think it's somewhere in between those two, probably. I looked at his minor league numbers this year. and they didn't really impress me, although his strikeout rate was actually really high in the minors this year, but his ERA was like in the high threes. His whip was like 1.4. So I'm like, what is this guy doing? Like, he was, I don't know. He seemed like he was way too hittable in the minors, and I don't even think he pitched in AAA. I think he was pitching in like single A, and now they're bringing him right back up to the majors. I don't know if it's because of an injury or what, but Gasser is really hard to predict what he's going to do in this game, man. I believe only Josh Bell has ever seen him before because he used to be in the National League. Yeah, Bell was 0 for 2 off him with an RBI. Other than that, Minnesota's never faced Gasser, so maybe that is a little bit of an advantage to him because he's unfamiliar to them. To me, I don't know if I want to trust him, though, even though his numbers looked good 2 years ago. I still think we need to see what he's going to do this season, so I'm going to wait and see with him. Bailey Ober is pitching for Minnesota. He's been pretty good this year. 3.46 ERA, 1.02 whip. I mean, he alternates between, like, I love this guy, he's awesome, and then, like, this guy is, like, the worst pitcher in baseball, and there's, like, no in-between. This year he's been good, but he's been good at home specifically. 2.43 home ERA, which is where he is today. One issue with him, though, is he's coming off a complete game shutout, a 2-hit shutout of Miami. 7 strikeouts, no earned runs, no walks, in that game either. So he's coming off, I think, his best start of his career. I think that was his first complete game shutout or whatever. So, yeah, they celebrated, man. You remember, I gave you guys Miami as a play the game after that, and we got that game right. So, yeah, he was coming off a big high. Now, that's the problem here, though. Is he going to be in, like, a personal letdown spot because that was his best start of his career? I don't know. I mean, he gets to face Milwaukee. It's a big game. You're trying to avoid the sweep here. He didn't throw too many pitches, so that's one thing I do like. A lot of times when a pitcher will go the full 9 innings now, they'll throw a lot of pitches, but he only threw 89, so he was really efficient in that game, so that doesn't really worry me. That's right in line with what he does every start. So Ober overall has been pretty good, although his strikeout rate is down. This year, it's not very high, but he hasn't really walked too many guys. He's allowed very few hits, really, per the amount of innings, so he's been pretty good overall. He actually had one bad start this month at Washington, in between a few good starts, but mostly he's been good. He's allowed 3 or fewer earned runs in all but 2 outings, and he's allowed more than 4 only once. Numbers against the Brewers are decent in 41 at-bats, 244 average, 742 OPS, 13-2 strikeout walk ratio. That's not bad. You know, given that I think Minnesota has the better situation here, Gasser is just a total wild card here. I don't know. I think my lean in this game would probably be Minnesota first 5. I don't want to deal with Minnesota's bullpen, but given that they have a situational edge, they might have the starting pitching edge here. It's really hard to tell, though. Milwaukee's laying minus 120 something here. 74% of tickets and 80% of the cash on Milwaukee. But I just think at this point, Milwaukee's probably going to be a public side. You're getting Minnesota with perhaps some advantages and an underdog price there. So that's probably how I would go in that game. The money's also indicating on the under. There might be some arguments for a first 5 under if you think Gasser, will ride that unfamiliarity there. Wouldn't want to do full game because, again, Minnesota's bullpen is completely unbackable to me. But the starting pitching might do okay in the game. So first 5 under, makes some sense to me there. Texas at Houston. Houston, believe it or not, is on the verge of a sweep here. Even though I liked Texas in both of these games, somehow Houston's pitching has been pretty good in this series, and it's not in Texas. Makes no sense. Texas is where pitching performs really well, not in Houston. I don't know what's going on in this series, man. Will Houston overlook Texas now that they're on the verge of a sweep? I don't know. I mean, Texas might bounce back because Texas is trying to avoid a sweep here. Houston does not have a bigger series on deck. They're playing Minnesota, so that's not really a look ahead. Texas is going to Colorado, so whatever. I think both teams motivationally will show up for this. Now, you start looking at this. The starting pitching matchup looks like it should be an advantage to Texas here with Eovaldi starting. But I'm going to counter that. When you look at the numbers overall, there are some counters to that. Now, Houston, they used 5 relievers yesterday, and their bullpen is already bad, so that's not good. That's not a good start to the handicap for Houston. Texas only used long reliever Cal Quantrill, so their better relievers are all available here. Texas has a huge bullpen edge here. They're ranked 8th. I think they have the second best bullpen ERA, though, to Atlanta. Houston is dead last still in both ERA and whip out of the bullpen. They're awful. Hitting, Houston has been the better offense. They're 5th. Texas is way down at 26th, so they do have an offensive edge, Houston does. But I like pitching over offense. All right, so let's look at the starting pitching here because we know Texas has a big bullpen edge. But that's been the case this series, and it hasn't helped. Nathan Eovaldi, he's got pretty good numbers overall. 4.15 ERA isn't great, but that number's going down pretty fast because he's been pretty good recently. He's got a 1.17 whip now, which is good. Indicates that his ERA should probably be lower than it is. He was really, really good last year. His home road splits, though, he is a little bit worse on the road, which makes sense. Texas is a pitcher-friendly park, so his ERA is 4.4 on the road. He's had 2 really good starts in a row. Both of them were against the Yankees, which is a good sign in a way because the Yankees are a really good offense. But Eovaldi just has their number. He historically does really well against them for whatever reason. And I believe I gave you guys an under in both of those games, and they both hit. So we have that going for us. But now Eovaldi has to face a different team, Houston, and I'll show you his matchup numbers in a second. One other concern we got is that Eovaldi hasn't pitched for 11 days now. He didn't go on the injury list or anything, but he's day-to-day. He has an injury, and they pushed his start back. As you can see here, he had an issue with his side. I don't even know what that is. I don't know. He had, what is that, like a strained oblique maybe? That's actually not great if you're a starting pitcher because that definitely factors into your windup. So I don't know. He's getting up there in age for sure at 36, but to me, he looks like he is still a good pitcher. But the problem is Houston actually hits him really well, and they have a lot of at-bats against him. 135, 304 batting average, 973 OPS. They have good offensive numbers against him. 34 strikeouts, 15 walks. They got 11 home runs off him, 7 from Altuve. Altuve, a lot of home runs, high home run rate from him. So it's not a great matchup for Eovaldi, and he will be going up against Peter Lambert, who he's an interesting scenario, man, because he got drafted by the Rockies. You know, I mean, the Rockies are an organization where a lot of pitchers just go to die because you don't want to pitch at Coors Field. He didn't pan out, and now he's 29, and his career never took off. Yet, here he is on Houston, and he's actually pitching pretty well this year. 2.76 ERA, 1.13 whip. He's been worse at home, but not bad. 3.32 home ERA. This month, he's had 2 7-inning performances, allowing a combined 3 earned runs, 9 hits, 10 strikeouts, and then 5 walks is a little bit concerning. But the fact that he shut out the Dodgers for 7 innings, turned around, and then pitched well again against Seattle, he's in pretty good form right now, man, I would have to say. He's got basically 1 strikeout per inning, which is good. He's allowing fewer than 1 hit per inning by quite a bit. The only problem is the walks. He's walked 3 or more in the majority of his outings, so he needs to get that better controlled, literally. But he only had 1 walk in his last outing against Seattle, so maybe that is headed in the right direction. And Lambert against Texas, though, they've actually seen him a little bit. They have 5 hitters who have faced him, 22 at-bats, and they do have good numbers against him. 3.3 strikeout walk ratio, 4.09 average, 13.89 OPS. But this is a smaller sample size, so I think you can put more weight into Eovaldi's matchup numbers because the sample size is way, way bigger. And you got to note that Lambert, those numbers against Texas were all in the past. They were not this year, so those numbers were all when he was like on Colorado and struggling and whatever. And he looks like a different pitcher right now. So I actually, I would not go Houston full game because I think the situation's against them. The bullpen is certainly against them. But I think there are some arguments for a first 5 play on Houston here. They're getting the money, 52% of tickets, 73% of the cash on Houston. Eovaldi, is off schedule, which sometimes can hurt a pitcher, even though a guy that's as veteran as he is, I don't think that's really going to matter. But his matchup numbers matter. and they're not good. Texas is a slight favorite here. I think if Texas gets through into the bullpens and they're still in the game, then I think Texas does have a pretty good shot to win the game with their much better bullpen. But first 5 inning Houston makes sense to me in this game, and that is probably actually my lean in the game. But I don't fully trust Lambert either, so leaving that one on the shelf. All right, I'm going to take a quick break. We'll finish this off, and then we have to talk about WNBA and NBA, and there's no hockey here. And I do not have any more plays left, but I was close in the NBA, which we'll talk about right at the end of the show. I'll be right back. All right. Zoom back in here. Next game is Kansas City, St. Louis, the Battle of Missouri. St. Louis, they just keep winning, man. I mean, I keep telling you, I don't think they're this good. They've won both games of the series, pretty close games. So Kansas City is in a spot where they're trying to avoid a sweep here. Maybe Kansas City shows up with a little more motivation here. St. Louis, who do they have on deck? I think they don't play tomorrow. I think just St. Louis and Pittsburgh, they're the only 2 teams off tomorrow. I think they play each other starting on Tuesday. So that is kind of a big series. It's a divisional series against a pretty good Pittsburgh team. So St. Louis might be looking ahead to that. So I think the situation does favor Kansas City here. Kansas City only used 1 relief pitcher yesterday, so their better relievers are available, although their bullpen is not good. Neither of these bullpens are good. St. Louis used 3 relief pitchers yesterday, and I believe they had to save the game. So Kansas City does have a slight bullpen advantage here, but both bullpens are bad. Kansas City is 26th. St. Louis is 22nd. Their numbers are pretty similar. I just think Kansas City, because they're more rested, they got a slight edge there. Hitting-wise, both teams have been decent-ish. St. Louis 10th, which is way better than you'd think, and Kansas City 15th, which is fine. Steven Kolek is starting for Kansas City. His numbers are all over the place. He's got a 6.75 ERA, which is bad, but his 1.13 whip is good and indicates that his ERA is misleading. Like, his ERA should definitely be better than that. He's been really bad on the road, though. 9.64 road ERA, which is interesting because last year he was worse at home, which made really little sense because he pitched most of the season in San Diego, and that's a very pitcher-friendly park, and Kansas City was last year, too, and that's where he finished the season last year after he got traded. But he's only made 2 starts this year, and he made 1 pretty decent start against Cleveland, and that was at home, and then he struggled on the road against the White Sox. So, like, how do we even figure out what Kolek is right now? I don't know. He's got 9 strikeouts, 3 walks so far, 9 hits allowed in 10 2/3 innings. Difficult to kind of interpret. You can look at what he did last year, which might be a better indicator of what you're going to get out of him. Last year, he posted a 3.51 ERA, 1.14 whip, which is pretty good. His strikeout rate was really low, though. He just wasn't really a strikeout pitcher. And that was his only season as a starter. He was a relief pitcher prior to that for San Diego and entered the league a little bit later as he is 29 now. His numbers against St. Louis are not good, though, but it's a small sample. 17 at-bats, 3.3 strikeout walk ratio, 353 batting average allowed, 979 OPS. Yeah, I mean, given the bad matchup numbers, his bad home road splits, I don't really trust Kolek here. He is going up against Andre Payante, who I don't really trust either. He's got a 4.46 ERA, 1.37 whip. Not doing great for St. Louis, although he's not doing terribly. He's worse at home, though, 5.91 home ERA, which is not good. He struggled this month with a 7-5 strikeout walk ratio and 6.55 ERA across 2 starts, more than 1 hit per inning allowed as well. It was a home start against Milwaukee, and they are starting to hit better. And the other start was at the A's Stadium, and he won that game. We got a win. That was a winner for me. I gave that out on the show, actually. So maybe you give him a pass for kind of struggling in those outings there. His overall numbers are not very good to me, though. His strikeout rate is low, well below 1 per inning. The walk rate is definitely too high. That ratio is really bad. He's allowed fewer than 1 hit per inning, so his best quality, I guess, is that he doesn't allow that many hits. His numbers against Kansas City are pretty decent, though. In 83 at-bats, 15-5 strikeout walk ratio, 241 average allowed, 730 OPS. You know, the money's coming in towards St. Louis. They're a small favorite here, around -110. Basically picked the winner. Money kind of indicating towards the over as well. The total's pretty high. It's at 9, although it dropped down from 10. It's high for a St. Louis game for sure. They're more of a pitcher-friendly ballpark. I think I zoomed in too much here. Yeah, I think I'm going to lean slightly towards St. Louis, maybe just in the first 5, because I think Kansas City's bullpen has a little bit of an edge there. I think Payante might have an edge over Kolek, but I don't really want to back Payante at home either, and when he's not in good form, so that one's not a play. None of the rest of these games are. Arizona at Colorado, which is on ESPN Unlimited. All these games in the afternoon because it is Sunday and teams have to travel after this. These teams have split this series so far, so I expect, motivation on both sides here. This is at Coors Field. Colorado used 3 relief pitchers yesterday. Arizona used 4, but they were very well rested the couple of days before that. Arizona does probably have the better bullpen right now. They're ranked 3rd, even though their ERA is a lot higher than that, so I still don't really fully trust that bullpen. But I think they're better than Colorado's. Colorado's ranked 17th, even though Colorado's bullpen ERA is actually slightly better. Hitting-wise, Colorado's been better, and they are better at home as well. They're 11th. Diamondbacks are 22nd, which surprises me because they're usually known as a hitting team, especially because they have a good hitting stadium. And so is this one in Colorado. Michael Soroka is getting the start for the Diamondbacks. He's got a decent ERA here, 3.53, but his whip is too high, 1.32. It's not awful, but it's not great. He's been way worse on the road, 7.2 ERA, so that's definitely concerning when you're not good on the road and now you're about to pitch at Coors Field. He's been good this month, though. In 2 starts, he's only allowed 1 run in 12 2/3 innings off of 10 hits, 3 walks, and 11 strikeouts. So he is in good form right now. He's allowed 2 or fewer earned runs in 4 of his 5 starts recently, 4 of his most recent 5. His overall numbers are all actually pretty good. More than 1 strikeout per inning. The walk rate's not really that high. He's allowed a couple too many hits, but not really too bad. So, yeah, overall his numbers are not bad. Against Colorado, he has pretty good numbers here as well. 24 at-bats, 9 strikeouts, 1 walk, 125 average allowed, 493 OPS. So he's been pretty good against Colorado. We got to see how he does at Coors Field, though. And he is a little bit more fly ball heavy, which is not great in Coors Field, but he's got the good matchup numbers. The worst thing here is that he has bad road numbers. So that is a concern. He will be going up against Michael Lorenzen, who does not have good numbers, 6.55 ERA, 1.84 whip. Lorenzen's really struggled pitching in Coors Field this year, and that is unfortunately for him where he is today. 9.64 home ERA, not good. I don't know why Colorado went and got this guy, man. I think he was much better suited to pitch for, Texas, where he gets to pitch in a pitcher-friendly ballpark all the time. This month, he hasn't been good. 8.1 ERA across 2 starts. One at home that was really bad. And then he actually pitched okay on the road in his last outing against Pittsburgh. But he's had 7 strikeouts, 5 walks over that span. His overall numbers are not great. Really low strikeout rate over the course of the season. He's allowed probably the most hits per inning out of any starter, I think. He's allowed a ton of hits. 67 in 44 innings, really bad. The walk rate isn't too bad at 14, but he is also slightly fly ball leaning, which isn't great in the stadium, but he's allowed 7 home runs this season, which is not the worst. There are definitely pitchers out there that have allowed more than that. And his numbers against the Diamondbacks are actually good. In 48 at-bats, 125 average, 426 OPS, 12.3 strikeout walk ratio. It might kind of sound insane, but I think that, looking at the matchup numbers and whatever, I know the home road splits both are completely against these 2 starting pitchers. Given the matchup numbers, I'm almost saying that I'm leaning under in the first 5. The game went under yesterday. Surprisingly low-scoring game yesterday. Total is taking a lot of money on the over, though. 54% of the tickets, 88% of the cash on the over. The full game's 10.5. First 5, you're probably looking at like 5.5. I mean, I can see the argument for the under there, but I still don't want to do it. I mean, the home road splits are too bad. Money coming in on Colorado as well, with Arizona being about minus 150 here. 57% of tickets, 83% of the cash on Colorado. Do with that information what you want, but yeah, I mean, I think Soroka generally is the better pitcher, though, and Arizona probably has a slightly better bullpen, so I'm not sure I see that. I mean, I might slightly lean Arizona there, but it's not strong. San Francisco at the A's, I did have a somewhat strong lean towards San Francisco yesterday, as I talked about on the show, and they did win. They almost blew it. I think they were winning 6-1. Their bullpen should be better than it is, man. I don't know what's going on with this San Fran bullpen, but I'm pretty sure they were up 6-1 late, and they almost blew it. They still won, though. Now, the Battle of the Bay here, even though the A's don't play near the Bay anymore, they're going to have to call it something else pretty soon when the A's are in Vegas. I don't know, man. But whatever. These teams have split the series, so I think they're both going to show up here. San Francisco used 3 relief pitchers yesterday. The A's used 2, but the A's still have the lesser bullpen here. They're ranked 23rd in bullpen. The Giants, I know they're only 19th, but their ERA is definitely better than that. So, yeah, I think the Giants do have the better bullpen. The A's are ranked 7th offensively, and the Giants are not good. Giants are 28th, so the A's, yeah, not surprisingly, have the better offense significantly. Adrian Hauser is pitching for San Francisco, and of course we have to note that this is the A's AAA stadium they play in, so it's very hitter-friendly. Adrian Hauser is pitching for the Giants. He's not having a good season. 5.79 ERA, 1.48 whip. He's been better on the road. None of this makes any sense, dude. I mean, the Giants stadium is known as a pitcher-friendly ballpark. Hauser was decent last year, and now all of a sudden he's really struggling to pitch in San Fran. Makes no sense. His road ERA is better, though, at 4.85. But will he pitch well in this stadium? I don't know. He's not that fly ball heavy. His numbers are tilted a little bit towards the fly ball. He's allowed 8 home runs this season. He's pitched okay this month. He's allowed 2 or 1 earned run in each of his starts. One was on the road against the Dodgers, so give him credit for that. But his strikeout rate was low. 7 strikeouts, 4 walks in those 11 2/3 innings, but only allowing 6 hits. Although 2 of them were home runs. He's allowed a lot of home runs recently, so that's not great. Overall, I mean, his numbers overall, not great. He's allowed definitely too many hits, well over 1 per inning. Strikeout rate is down. It's very low. I think it was higher than that last year. Yeah, very low strikeout rate. And then the walk rate is just kind of fine. Against the A's, they only have 17 at-bats against them, but they have hit him all right. 294 batting average. 839 OPS, 3.2 strikeout walk ratio. So I mean, Hauser, he's in better form right now, but pitching in this A's stadium, I probably don't really trust him. And his numbers against the A's are not great. He will be opposed by Jeffrey Springs, who has been the better of the 2 pitchers overall this season. He's got a 4.22 ERA, 1.22 whip for the A's, but of course, he's been worse in this stadium. Again, it is a hitter-friendly stadium. 5.33 ERA at home. That's not good. This month, he's been okay-ish. 1 home start, 1 road start. The road start was, of course, better 9 strikeouts, 3 walks. I think he was the one that we faded with the Payante St. Louis game because Springs, I didn't like his matchup numbers or his home road splits. Neither pitcher was great in the game, but we did get the win in the game. Springs gave up 4 runs on 7 hits in that one and walked 3. Overall, his numbers are pretty good, though. His strikeout rate is decent. It's a little bit below 1 per inning. His walk rate, fine, and his hit rate is fairly low, below 1 per inning. So Springs overall has been good, but he's not good in this stadium. But his numbers are good against the Giants. I mean, they're a pretty weak hitting team. They have 53 at-bats against him, 13-2 strikeout walk ratio, 132 average, and 371 OPS. Springs does appear to have a really good matchup here at the very least. So I think I will tilt the scales towards Springs in that one. I think I will lean A's first 5 in that one. I don't want the full game because the Giants have a better bullpen. The money is indicating towards the Giants. 85% of tickets, 80% of the cash on the A's. They're around a minus 150 or so favorite there. So maybe they're favored a little bit too heavily. You could definitely make that argument that the A's shouldn't be that much of a favorite there. But, I do think Springs does have the edge there a little bit. So first 5 A's could be a way to look at that game and take their bullpens out of the equation. Dodgers at Anaheim. Anaheim is on the verge of getting swept here, and they've gotten obliterated by the Dodgers in this series. The Dodgers have outscored them by a combined score of 21-2 in this series. So the Dodgers may be in a bad spot here, dude. They're on the verge of a sweep. They've already dominated the series. They might not take Anaheim seriously. I thought Anaheim would do a lot better yesterday. I think Soriano got absolutely torched in that game. So, yeah, he's not going to win the Cy Young like people were talking about really early in the season. I was like, nah, like he's good, but his home woes continue, man. Soriano looks like he's still not good at home. But anyway, that's to discuss the next time he pitches. The Dodgers might look ahead because they got San Diego starting tomorrow. That's a big series, dude, a divisional series. San Diego's only a half game behind the Dodgers right now. That's big. So LA might just pack it in early and forget about this game. So it is a bad spot for the Dodgers. The spot sets up a lot better for Anaheim here. Anaheim trying to avoid the sweep. Anaheim does not have a good bullpen, though, so that's where it kind of starts. They only used 2 relief pitchers yesterday, but I do not like that bullpen at all. Dodgers also only used 2. The Dodgers definitely have the better bullpen, although they're a little bit less rested based on what they did the other day, 2 days ago. But the Dodgers are ranked 4th in bullpen. They've been a very good bullpen this year. Anaheim, no. Anaheim 27th, way, way worse. Hitting-wise, the Dodgers are better as well. They're ranked number 1 again, and Anaheim is, where are they at? Somewhere in the middle, 19th, yeah. So Dodgers, better hitting as well. But Roki Sasaki is pitching for the Dodgers here. He's pretty shaky as a starter, man. His numbers this year are not very good. 5.88 ERA, 1.63 whip. He's been worse on the road as well, 6.89 road ERA. A lot of things lining up against Sasaki here. He's been okay this month. He's gone at least 5 innings in both of his starts. He's allowed 3 runs in each of them, 9 strikeouts, 3 walks. They were on the road at St. Louis and at home against San Francisco, though. So those are, a pitching-friendly ballpark and then a really weak San Francisco offense. His overall numbers, not great, although his strikeout rate is fine. A little bit below 1 per inning, but he's allowed well over 1 hit per inning. A lot of walks in here as well, so that's not good. Sasaki has not been seen by Anaheim, though, except Adam Frazier is 1 for 2 with a single off him. But Sasaki does at least have an unfamiliarity edge here, but I still kind of lean towards him struggling in this game, even though he does have the advantage that they haven't seen him before. I don't know if that's enough. Anaheim, though, how do we handicap this with Grayson Rodriguez pitching here? By the way, I might have made a mistake between Gasser and Rodriguez. I might have gotten the 2 of them mixed up looking at the minor league numbers, so I apologize if I did. Grayson Rodriguez, what are we going to do about this, man? He used to be on Baltimore, and he actually started pitching pretty well back in 2024, but he didn't pitch in the majors at all last year. I assume he had some major injury issue because he pitched pretty well in 2024 with Baltimore and was improving, so obviously he was going to continue pitching in the majors, barring some sort of injury. He had a 3.86 ERA, 1.24 whip, and 20 starts in 2024, which is pretty good. He was trending in the right direction. He had a really high strikeout rate, but his walk rate was a little bit concerning, and he didn't allow that many hits. What are we going to get out of him here, man? I don't know, but let me just make sure real quick that I did not get those numbers wrong. I'm going to look real quick. Going back to Robert Gasser in the minors, I think I basically did get those numbers right. No, Gasser did pitch in AAA, though, so that was my mistake. So my mistake, going back to Gasser, I apologize. Gasser did pitch in AAA this year, which makes sense because he's kind of a prospect, but I got his numbers right. His whip was almost 1.5. He did have a really high strikeout rate, but he did also allow too many hits. So do with that information what you want. Going back to Gasser, who's pitching for Milwaukee today, and his ERA was in the 3s. For Grayson Rodriguez, he's the one who only pitched in A ball this season. So I don't know. How can we even gauge that at all, dude? The fact that he only pitched in like single A, and then they're like, all right, we're calling you up now, which probably is because Anaheim just doesn't have starting pitching. Yeah, I mean, he only pitched in A ball this season. He had such a small sample size, it's almost like you can just ignore it. Like, I don't even know what to say about it. His numbers weren't really terrific, but whatever. I think we can kind of gauge what he is based off of 2024, but he is trying to work his way back from injury. So he is a bit of a question mark here. And then his numbers against the Dodgers are not good at all, although it's 17 at bats, small sample, but 2-3 strikeout walk ratio, 588 OPS or 588 batting average, horrible, and 1591 OPS. So the Dodgers hitters who have faced him before have hit him well. I don't want to back Rodriguez here, although there are a lot of things that do line up on Anaheim here. Not full game, though, either. Bullpen, no way. 62% of tickets, 75% of the cash on the Dodgers, though, at a minus 140-something price here. Money coming in on the Dodgers, but I think I would still lean Anaheim first 5 here because they have a situational advantage. I don't like Sasaki, but he is unfamiliar, though, and Rodriguez has bad matchup numbers, so I do worry about that quite a bit. So I'm staying off of that game as well. And then the night game, Peacock NBC, is San Diego and Seattle. San Diego is on the verge of sweeping this, but I did tell you San Diego is playing the Dodgers next, so they might just start looking ahead, man. They've already won this interleague series. That series against the Dodgers is going to be huge. So San Diego might get caught in a look ahead, even though this is a primetime night game. I think Seattle is still possibly the better team here, and they're on the verge of getting swept at home, and they're a decent-sized favorite. That already kind of has me looking towards Seattle here for a number of reasons, and the home team usually kind of is a little bit more motivated hosting these primetime games. Seattle only used 2 relief pitchers and not any of their really good relief pitchers yesterday, so that's good as well. San Diego does have a really good bullpen. Both bullpens are good, but San Diego used 5 relief pitchers yesterday. They did not use Mason Miller, but they used a bunch of their other good relievers yesterday. Generally, these bullpens are both really good. San Diego at 6th. Seattle's only 16th, but they have one of the best bullpen ERAs. Actually, I think they have the best bullpen ERA right now. So I forgot about Seattle. My apologies. So that means I think Texas is actually 3rd, not 2nd. But yeah, Seattle's bullpen is good, and they set up better, in my opinion, based off of which pitchers they used yesterday. I like Seattle's bullpen a little bit more than San Diego's in this one. Hitting-wise, San Diego's been pretty bad. They're 29th now. They're really struggling at the plate. Seattle's been hitting a little bit better, and they're up to 16th, even though they've lost both games in this series. So I think Seattle has a hitting edge here as well. Lucas Giolito will be getting his first start with the Padres. He was on the Red Sox last year. The Red Sox designated him for assignment, and I think it does kind of tell you something that no team jumped right away to get him. He started the season as a free agent, so that kind of tells you that even though he had a 3.41 ERA last year, 1.29 whip wasn't that great. That kind of tells you that, these major league teams don't even want him. That means there's some issue here with Giolito, and the advanced analytics guys will tell you that his numbers last year were misleading. His underlying metrics were not that good with the Boston Red Sox. He did pitch better on the road last year, though, 3.18 road ERA last year. He's pitching in a pitcher-friendly ballpark here. He is going up against Seattle, though. Seattle does have good numbers against him in 68 at bats, 294 batting average allowed, 881 OPS, 18-6 strikeout walk ratio. So, the strikeout walk ratio is fine, but overall those numbers are not very good for Giolito. He will be going up against George Kirby, who has been the better pitcher this year. Kirby, 2.84 ERA, 1.16 whip. So, basically, you can see how I went through this handicap. This looks like it's going to be a play for me on Seattle, right? One thing is kind of holding me back from it, but Kirby's been good. He's debatably been Seattle's best pitcher this season, even though it's usually Brian Wu. Kirby, he's also been better at home slightly, but not really significant home road splits. He's been pretty good recently. He's allowed, actually all season really, he's allowed only more than 3 earned runs once. He's allowed more than 2 earned runs only twice. This month, he's allowed 3 earned runs in 12 innings with 12 strikeouts, 3 walks, 12 hits, and he did that against the Braves and Houston on the road. So he did that against some good hitting lineups. Kirby looks good right now. He's got a low strikeout rate on the season, though, but his walk rate is somewhat low as well. He hasn't allowed that many hits either. He's been good overall, but the one thing that's holding me back is San Diego has hit him well in the past. 44 at bats, 318 batting average, 773 OPS is not that high, but it's a little bit higher than I'd want to see. 6 strikeouts, no walks is good, obviously. I'm still going to lean Seattle. I mean, maybe Giolito will be excited to be back in the majors, but Kirby, I think, is the better pitcher here. I think Seattle's bullpen lines up a little bit better here. I think the situation is strongly favoring Seattle here. But we have a low total at 7.5. The money looks like it's hitting the under here. And the money looks like it's fading Seattle. 86% of tickets, only 73% of the cash on them. I like Seattle in the game, though, but Kirby's matchup numbers are really kind of what's keeping me off of it. Seattle's around minus 160 something, so you'd have to do a split run line, money line bet there. But that's the way I look at the baseball board today. Do with that information what you want. WNBA, after I clear out some of these tabs here. Frank, what's up, man? Thanks for checking out the show. It's goy ball, I guess. Yeah, all the goys are the athletes, yes. All right, first game up in WNBA is on NBC and Peacock, and it is Vegas and Atlanta. Vegas played on Friday, so none of these teams played yesterday. Vegas, one of the best teams in the league still. They won the championship last year. They're playing a 4th straight road game here, though, so this is one of the longer WNBA road trips that you'll see. So we might actually have an ability to fade them in their next game when they return home from a road trip, but maybe not. I don't know. They're going to have a lot of time off, though. So we have to handicap that accordingly. Maybe if they sweep the road trip, then maybe we do look to fade them because I'm getting a seizure from what's going on my TV over there. I don't know what that is. But we'll talk about it when we get to it, because if they win today, then their momentum might get totally stopped. Plus the return home spot might be bad. But these are WNBA players, man. They don't have families. They just all date each other. The Aces are good, and I think they could be in a bounce-back spot to some extent here because you see what happened in their last couple of games. They blew out Connecticut, and then obviously they just didn't pay attention to Connecticut the next time. And they still won, but Connecticut covered because, when you blow out a bad team, like, you have nothing to gain from doing it again, you know what I mean? And Connecticut probably made some adjustments. Vegas just didn't take them seriously. They'll probably take this game more seriously now that they didn't play that well against Connecticut in their last game. Of course, Atlanta is now a team with Angel Reese on it. Although Atlanta, I think they're a decent team. They've beaten Minnesota and Dallas on the road so far. So this is technically a return home spot, which, is usually slightly negative, at least, even in the WNBA. Like when you've been away for, in this case, like a week, you still have to get back to home life and whatever, but I don't think they're going to overlook the returning champs, man. I just don't think that they will, and I believe that, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Atlanta got eliminated by Vegas in the playoffs last year. Am I right about that? No, they got eliminated by Indiana. My mistake. Never mind. I don't know what I was thinking. Anyway, now Atlanta, though, I'm not really impressed by their resume so far. I mean, they beat kind of an upstart Dallas team in their last game. Dallas is still, I think, kind of a mediocre team that's they've had the first draft pick the last couple seasons. Minnesota, by the way, I keep forgetting to mention because they have Collier, but she's actually still hurt. She's like the best player in the league, but she got hurt late last season, missed the playoffs basically, which is why Minnesota got eliminated early, and she's still not back. She's supposed to be back at some point in the next couple weeks, but she's not back. So Atlanta did beat that Minnesota team with no Collier. I think there's still a decent team without her, but obviously not as good. What do we do with this game? Well, I'm passing on it, obviously. I think I'm talking too much about the game. The money is indicating towards Atlanta. I kind of disagree with that, though. And you can see initially Atlanta was a 1.5-point favorite, but the money flipped Vegas to a 3-point favorite. I don't know what happened there. I don't know if there's an injury. There might be an injury on the Atlanta side that's causing that. I honestly have no idea. I don't know if we could tell on the injury report here. Yeah, it looks like, we have Howard and Jones are both out for Atlanta, so maybe that's what's going on. I have no clue, dude. I don't know enough of these players, but I think that's probably, usually when you see a line move like that, it's usually an injury. So that does mean maybe there's an injured player theory set up on Atlanta, and maybe they shouldn't be getting 3 points at home. This is a pass for me, though, because situationally I kind of prefer Vegas. But at the -3 on the road, I don't really love it. 59% of tickets, 88% of the cash on Atlanta. Plus, when you're at the end of a road trip, sometimes that travel kind of catches up to you. Seattle at Indiana, the next game on Peacock and NBC. The public, to me, kind of seems like they might be off of Indiana because they're sitting at a 1-2 record here. They're 0-2 at home, but they had to travel in between the two. If you look at this game, they just lost against Washington. Indiana was a pretty big favorite in the game. They lost in overtime, and I talk about when a big favorite loses, a lot of times you want to look to them to bounce back in the next game. That could be the case for Indiana. They were an 8.5-point favorite. They're the better team over Washington. They had an ugly loss. They had a terrible second quarter, and that just set them up to have to come back in the game, which they did, but then they lost in overtime. But then if you look at this game, there are some things I don't love about it. Although Washington shot out of their minds in the game, 56%. That is not something you see a lot in the WNBA. Washington did go to the free throw line way more as well, so they had 9 more free throw makes. Indiana actually dominated possession. Indiana had 24 more field goal attempts in the game. You almost never see a team do that and lose the game outright. So Indiana didn't shoot particularly well. So there might be some regression points here that would put me on Indiana this time here, which is that mostly that Washington just shot too well in the game, and Indiana played better in this game than it kind of looks like. But I don't like the fact that Indiana dominated the turnover battle, still lost the game, and they got dominated in the rebound department. So I don't love that. They're playing Seattle here. Seattle is definitely down this year. Seattle's on their third straight road game. Their only win of the season was against Connecticut, who's very bad. Indiana's obviously way better than that. Seattle played Toronto after that and lost. That's not a great sign. But going to a new venue to face a new team that they hadn't seen before, Toronto. I don't know. I mean, they could be in a bounce-back spot here. You probably do get up for a game against Indiana, but I would lean Indiana here. They're the better team. They're in a bounce-back spot here. They're laying 11.5 points, though. So it is pretty pricey, but to me, I don't think the public would want to do it. 72% of tickets on Seattle, though 94% of the cash on Seattle. So the money looks like it's coming in on Seattle, but I don't agree with that. I would lean towards laying it with Indiana in that one. We have Chicago at Minnesota. Of course, as I just mentioned, Minnesota is playing without Collier, although they are 2-1 to start the season with 2 road wins. They are returning home from a road trip, which, sometimes you want to look to fade teams when they do that. They've been away for less than a week, though. It wasn't the worst road trip. They went to Phoenix and Dallas. Now they're back at home. They don't have a big game on deck against Toronto, so I don't know that Minnesota's going to overlook a Chicago team that looks improved so far this year. They've won 2 games as well, but their resume's a little bit uglier because they only beat Portland, but then they did beat Golden State, which is a decent win there. Beating Portland is kind of nothing, though. They lost to Phoenix, though, and Minnesota beat Phoenix. And remember, Minnesota was super motivated, in my opinion, in that game because Phoenix is the team that eliminated Minnesota from the playoffs last year. So I think it was a revenge spot for Minnesota. So people might look at that and think, oh, well, if Minnesota beat Phoenix, who beat Chicago? Obviously, Minnesota then must win this game, right? But you don't want to do that. That transitive thing can definitely be misleading. But Chicago, I mean, this is their 4th straight road game, and they're coming off their first loss of the season. So there is the potential hangover for them here, which might be a little bit of a concern. Minnesota has not won at home yet. They almost won the first game at home. They covered against Atlanta. This time they are favored, despite being without their best player. They're at -4.5, basically, going up a little bit to 5, but it looks like the money is coming back on Chicago. 80% of tickets, 91% of the cash on Chicago. I'm going to lean slightly towards laying it with Minnesota, but I don't really have a great read on that one. And then we have Toronto at LA. This does look like a zigzag. I told you guys I liked LA in the first game against Toronto because Toronto was having to fly out to the Pacific Coast for the first time as a franchise. LA won the game, but they actually kind of dominated the game more than it looks like, and they only won by 4, so that kind of leads me to want LA here. Like, when you have a team that didn't finish the game well as a big favorite, and they only won by 4, failed to cover like that, and they got a bit of a scare, sort of. Sometimes you'll see that team play better in the next game. And like I said, this was misleading. LA was winning this game by 20 points at one point. Toronto never led, and LA was leading 99% of the game. Like, I think literally the only time where they were not leading was when it was 0-0. They did lose the rebound battle, which does worry me a little bit. And the other thing that worries me is Toronto had 12 more field goal attempts in the game. That does worry me. But Toronto kept themselves in the game by shooting a ton of threes, which is what they did. They also hit a ton of free throws. They hit 5 more of their free throws, so maybe there is some regression there. I mean, 95% from the free throw line is crazy, so there might be some regression there as well. So most things have me looking at LA in this one, although I do worry a little bit because LA shot 64% from the field, so that does worry me about playing LA here. There is going to be some regression there, and I worry that they didn't even win the rebound battle, but they obviously pretty much dominated this game, and the final score was misleading. The fact that they only won by 4. I mean, they were winning this game in dominant fashion for the majority of the game, as you can see here. It got close late in the fourth quarter. Going into the fourth quarter, they were up 11, and then they almost blew the game. So they did get a scare. They were only winning by 2 at one point in the fourth quarter. So when the better team gets a scare like that, that is what I would go with here. I would lean towards laying it with LA. They're around the same price, 7.5, 8. They were around that same number in the previous game. So I would zigzag it. I think I consider that to be a zigzag, even though they won the game. I think they were much better in the game than it looks like, and I would lay it, but it's not going to quite make my card because of some of those outliers I see in the box score. But 88% of tickets, 87% of the cash on Toronto. I think this is the best opinion I have in the WNBA again. And I know I said that the last time LA hosted Toronto in the previous game, and they did not cover. They should have. But at least I didn't put it on my card. I'm not putting this one on it either, but I would lean it towards LA. All right, then we have the NBA. Before I get out of here, we have a Game 7, Cleveland and Detroit. These teams have been very, very home-centric in the postseason until the last 2 games when the road team won each of the last 2 games. Now the question is, does it go back towards the home team dominating again? Does Detroit come back and win at home? I mean, they have been better at home. They've been better at home during the postseason. Cleveland has only won 1 game on the road all postseason, but it was the last game they played in Detroit, Game 5. There's a lot going on in this game, man. So, like, the home road splits, if you want to call it that, favor Detroit here heavily, in my opinion. But there are a lot of other things that have me looking towards Cleveland. Cleveland has more experience, so I think that does come into play in a Game 7. It's why I picked Cleveland to win this series in my bracket. I think the experience does matter, although, of course, Detroit is getting more experience as they go. Cleveland has more scoring options, though, man. Detroit, it's really kind of like Cunningham or bust for Detroit. Cleveland can move the scoring around more, but Detroit has the better defense. And, you know, I do like defense, but Detroit is laying points in this one. Now, the zigzag would have you looking towards Cleveland here, and I do like the zigzag because Cleveland got annihilated at home in Game 6, dude. It was a close game at halftime, and then Cleveland just fell apart in the second half, and they wound up losing by 21 points. So I see that, and I want to look to fade that, you know what I mean? You see a team that just got obliterated at home by some outlier margin like that. I usually want to look to zigzag, and Detroit was a zigzag in that game because they had lost as a favorite the game prior to that, despite, by the way, The only game that Cleveland won on the road in the postseason, Detroit was winning that game by 9 with like less than 3 minutes to go. So Cleveland easily could have lost that game as well. Just putting that out there. But of course, if you play Detroit here, you need them to cover as a favorite at home. But the zigzag would have me looking towards Cleveland because Detroit just went into their house and embarrassed them. So that would have me looking towards Cleveland here. Look at the box score. Detroit shot 52% from the field, 44% from 3. Those are pretty big outliers, man. Cleveland only shot 39% from the field, so you got to think that there is going to be some regression in Detroit's shooting here. Like, they're not that great of a shooting team. Most likely, they're not going to shoot as well in this game here, although they will be at home. Cleveland, they're a good offensive team. You got to think there is going to be some positive regression for them offensively, so that does lead me to want to look at the zigzag here, which would have me leaning Cleveland. But we have a couple of problems here. Detroit won the rebound battle again, which has been pretty consistent throughout this series. They've been kind of the better team in that regard. Cleveland could clean up the turnovers. They lost the turnover battle, but that's been something that's plagued them in this series as well. James Harden usually is a main culprit of that. I don't know what the deal is with him, man. How many turnovers did Harden have in this one? Let me see. He had 8 turnovers. Dude, it's continuing to happen. Harden, he's got to stop turning the ball over, man. It's been a problem for him, and, you know, he's made the playoffs every single season of his career, and he has no championships. It's just crazy, dude. He was on some super teams back with, like, OKC. I'm pretty sure he was there with, like, Durant and Westbrook. It's like he had chances where he could have done it, man. I don't know. It's crazy. I think he's never going to win a title, though. Anyway, yeah, so I like Cleveland in this game, but, you know, I got some issues with it, like I said. And one of the other main issues is Cleveland went to the free throw line way more. And, you know, the NBA officials kind of have a tendency to try to even that out. You know, I think it is rigged to some extent. But then again, if you think this game is rigged in Game 7, maybe the league might want James Harden to advance here to continue the storyline. You know what I mean? He's still the biggest name in this series, so we will see what happens. But yeah, the fact that Cleveland went to the line 30 times compared to Detroit's 19, and Detroit was bad at the line too, only 68%, and they probably will improve in that respect. That has me worried a little bit. But because Cleveland got killed at home, because Detroit shot better than they normally would, Cleveland shot worse than they normally would, I will lean to Cleveland plus the points here. They could also cover and not win potentially, although it's a slim margin there. The line's 4.5 on the game, which is basically what it was in the other Detroit games. I think Detroit might have actually been 3.5 at home in some of the games, so the line might be a little bit higher now at 4.5. So you might be getting a little bit of value with Cleveland there. 58% of tickets, 62% of the cash on Cleveland. I agree with Cleveland. The money is also coming in on the under. 63% of tickets, 79% of the cash on the under. The problem with that is the books know about this. Game 7s have a tendency to go way under. Like, you get intense defense as much as possible. You know what I mean? It's a Game 7. It's like a Super Bowl where the unders hit a lot more frequently. But the books know this, and they've really started to adjust. And I believe they have started over-adjusting to it. That's the problem. Like, the situation always calls for a low-scoring game, but they've knocked this line all the way down to 205, which is lower than it's been throughout this entire series. Like, what was it in Game 1 at Detroit? In Game 1, the total was 217.5, and now you're looking at it being 205, so they've knocked it down 12 points from then. In the previous game in Detroit, I think it was probably around 209, I would guess, something like that in Game 5, which also tends to be a lower-scoring game. But that's the problem. There's basically no value in grabbing the under here because the total is just so much lower because the books know that. And in the first round of the playoffs, every Game 7 went over, I'm pretty sure, which was Celtics, 76ers, and then these two teams both went to Game 7, right? I think. Cleveland and Toronto, I'm pretty sure they did, and Detroit, Orlando, I'm pretty sure all 3 of those games went over, and it was basically because the oddsmakers over-adjusted the total or under-adjusted it. They adjusted the total way too low. So, yeah, there's just no value in it. So, I can't really, I just can't get a feel for the under because it's an under type of game, but the total's so low, it's almost like you should start leaning towards the over. But I think the better way to play it is Cleveland. you're getting more points than you have like in the series with Cleveland. They got the zigzag spot still supporting it, and it's a lower total than you've ever had. So if it's a defensive battle, that helps the underdog usually. However, I will say, because Detroit is the better defensive team, they might kind of want it to be a defensive game because that might help them win the game because that's more their style. So I will pass on the game, but that's going to do it, man. 2 plays today. My plays as we try to continue this hot streak again. We're going to go first 5 under 3.5 in Philly-Pittsburgh with an elite pitching matchup there, even though it seems too obvious. Hopefully we can get it there. Skenes has just got to get you through the first inning, man. Once he gets through the first inning, he's been like lights out. He's been bad in the first inning for whatever reason, a couple of times at least. And then we are going with the Cleveland Indians, partially on the run line, partially on the money line, which is about a 70. It's almost like a split where you put 70% of it on the money line part of it, and then whatever that returns, you put that amount of it on the run line, if that makes sense, or finding -1 run line out there at a decent price. That's going to do it. Learn to Toad on Twitter. You can help me out. Subscribe to me there. I'd appreciate that. Follow me. You know, I have a lot of crazy stuff on my Twitter, though. It's not just sports. It's a mix of a lot of things. Instagram is mostly my sports stuff, short form betting content. Learn to Toad over there as well. You can check that out. My Linktree has everything on it, by the way. If you go to Learn to Toad on Twitter, it's right there. Linktree, Learn to Toad has everything. This show, like and subscribe here, obviously. We're getting a few subscribers trickling in here, so maybe the word is out that I'm hot. And, of course, once that starts happening, I'm going to cool off significantly. I mean, this run is totally unsustainable. We all know this. But it's been good, and I'm trying to give you guys winners here on the show. I'm going to just continue to try to continue to do what I do. That's the way that it is. We're on audio as well, Apple, Spotify, Spreaker. Check it out there. Listen, review. That all helps me out. But definitely like and subscribe to the channel here, and you'll get the other stuff that I do. Because, again, I keep talking about I will do an NFL win total show at some point in the near future. Covered in Uke is my Uke channel on YouTube. You can check that out. Patreon.com/LearnToToad if you want to throw me some support that way, just to give me something back for giving you good info on the show here even, which is what Dirty Sock does. But you do get a little bit of extra stuff there. I need to be better about it, but it's mostly ukulele cover focused. Loser Cast will be back on Tuesday, so you can check that show out. 10 p.m. every Tuesday. The G-Spot Giants podcast should be back at some point, but I know Ben, my co-host, is dealing with a lot of Libertarian Party stuff right now. Enjoy that, sir. And then tonight I will be on the Golden Shower Power Hour Twitter space hosted by Gnome and Mad Dog. So you can go check that out. I've been on that space multiple times before. It's usually complete chaos, and it's going to be even more chaos this time because it's going to be a lot of people on it. It's going to be me, Brian McWilliams from the Alliance of Liberty or whatever those guys are doing now. I love Brian. He's a comedian as well. He's really funny. Foundering the piano coverer extraordinaire, Canceled Man, will be on it as well. That guy's great as well. Check out his stuff. And then, actually, I don't even know if I'm allowed to say that. I'll get my YouTube taken down. I can't say that. Maybe I can. I don't know. I forget who. I apologize. I forget who else is going to be on it. There'll be a couple other people on it as well. But that's, yeah, I think that's about it that I have to plug. That's going to do it. I appreciate everybody. Let's get some more wins today. Thank you, sir. Thanks, everybody, for hanging out. Let's get some more people coming into the show. That'll do it for now. Happy Sunday. Go to church, man. I don't want to become your church, but, you know, hopefully this is some good advice. Peace.
But don't you go quiet, don't you fade from the floor. Your name still means something to somebody for sure. Put the glass down, baby. Look at me now.